Namaste and welcome back to Waking Up with Mindful Serenity Yoga. And today I'm not going to answer a question from the jar. I had answered a question recently and referred to the Five Remembrances from the Buddhist tradition, which comes from the Upajjhatthana, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know if it's a Sanskrit word or a Pali word. Sutra from the Buddha. And though I am by no means a Dharma teacher, I don't even refer to myself as a Buddhist by any means, and I'm definitely not ordained in the religious affiliation of Buddhism, I am very, very enthralled with the Buddhist teachings. And I see the practical wisdom in those teachings. And I try to absorb those as much as I can because I see so much beauty and truth in the Dharma. Like I said, I'm not a Dharma teacher, and I know that those who teach the Dharma are usually ordained in the monastic life of Buddhism, and they spend years and years listening before they speak. So it might seem very arrogant of me to be sitting here now saying that I would like to share some of those teachings in layperson's terms as far as I understand them with anybody else in the world. But here I am anyway, and I'm hoping it's not my ego or my arrogance bringing me here, but this deep love for this wisdom that is leading me here. And I see how practically it can help so many humans in the world if we were to remember and accept the five truths of life, the five realities that there is no escape from. That being said, I would like to go through those five remembrances and then just kind of speak on one remembrance at a time. I'm not sure yet if I'll put these public or if I'll just sit them unlisted or private. I feel the compulsion to get out there and do this. And whether or not I should be heeding my compulsions, I don't know if that's wholesome or unwholesome. I don't know anything. I find that the last few years, I have been completely confused about life, about my practice, about everything. I feel like as I get to a certain level of awakening, and I'm very, very far from awakening, don't get me wrong, but when I got to the part where I am confused, nothing makes sense to me anymore. And so I'm always seeking some grounding, something to hold on to. And unfortunately, a lot of times what I tend to grasp to are things related to the ego and the physical world, and these things that are not permanent or substantial or that will be stable in the long run. And I also, on the other side of this, reach for things that are very ethereal, as they may seem to be. Some people may call them woo-woo, but they're also very honest and wholesome and pure and truthful, and though they're not solid, there are things we can hold on to when we're feeling like we're spinning out of control in life. And though I'm not spinning out of control, per se, I am feeling that I am not on solid ground anymore. Not on the world isn't what I always thought it was. I'm not who I always thought I was. So my approach to life, I'm really seeking to make it wholesome and to live in ultimate truth. And I believe ultimate truth is a quest we all have, whether we know it or not. We just spend a lot of our time looking for it out there in the physical world, grasping for things because of desire, pushing away things because of fear. And we end up not living in ultimate truth. We live in these distractions that clinging and grasping and pushing away tend to offer us. And then when we get past that and we start to realize that we're so much more than that, we just don't understand what we are yet, but we know we are more than that. And none of those things we end up grasping or clinging to, no matter how many of the unwanted or unpleasant things we get to push away from life. We never really push them away. We just push them down and inside, and they're constantly activated for the rest of our lives, right? So we're not attaining that which we're seeking out to attain through an outward pursuit. And there comes a time in our lives where we realize that. We realize we need something that's a little deeper. And this little deeper might not have anything to do with matter or the material world. It might have to do with what we have yet to see and understand. And that's why we tend to call that process of seeking woo-woo nonsense or mystical or magical, when really it is probably the most practical thing we can do as human beings. Just because we don't understand it or can't see it doesn't mean that there's something deeper within us all that we should be exploring. And there is a reality to the external world, a reality to this life that we're experiencing, that we are trying to run from. Most of us run from these 5 remembrances. We don't want to have to deal with them. We don't want to have to face the reality of them because they themselves are painful, and they trigger a lot of painful knowing that's already exists within us. When I think that if we learn to accept the reality of life, accept the reality of each of these 5 truths or remembrances, we will be better able to live life fully, to find that peace and happiness and joy and love. We erroneously assumed all our lives was out there, and find it within us. That's a long spiel to just explain what I'm trying to explain, but that is, I am by no means, I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm no means an expert, and I am by no means, especially an expert in Buddhism, and I hope you seek out the Dharma talks and go to Plum Village, Deer Monastery. They were started by Thich Nhat Hanh, and to me he was the ultimate of teachers and gurus, not just with Buddhism but with life. So if you check those guys out and those ladies out and see what you can get from them rather than from me, but I still feel this compulsion to do this. So if this does make it public, I must have did a long talk with myself to find out whether or not it was something I did, and decided it was time to put it up. So I may be out there, but by no means am I saying that I'm an expert. I'm just figuring things out, I guess, and that's figuring things out is what brought me here. So back to the 5 remembrances. The 5 remembrances are as follows, and they are not going to be probably say them direct quotations. I'm sure they've been translated from Pali or Sanskrit or whatever they were first originally written in several thousand different times by several thousand different people. So this is the one I think more like the one that I heard from Thich Nhat Hanh. The first remembrance is, I am of the nature to grow old. I cannot escape getting older or aging. I am of the nature to grow old. I cannot escape getting older or aging. The second one is, I am of the nature to have ill health. I cannot escape sickness or ill health. I am of the nature to have ill health. I cannot escape having ill health or sickness. Number 3, I am of the nature to die. I cannot escape death. I am of the nature to die. I cannot escape death. Number 4, everything that is dear to me and everyone I love are also of the nature to change. I cannot escape being separated from them. Everything I hold dear and everyone I love are also of the nature to change, and I cannot escape being separated from them. Number 5. My actions are my only true belongings. My actions are the ground on which I stand. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are my only true belongings. My actions are the ground on which I stand. There is no escaping the consequences of my actions. So I have been focusing on these 5 remembrances personally for very long now. And for some reason, especially lately, I just cannot get over thinking about them. And I don't know if I'm sensing something or if I am just at that part of my progress or my own confusion in this progress that is drawing me to these 5 remembrances again and again and again. But the Buddhists recite these on a daily basis to help them remember the truth so that they find peace in the inevitable. And impermanence in life, people, is inevitable. There is nothing that is permanent other than the consequences of our actions. Those are the only things we leave behind when our time comes. And none of us knows when that time will be. None of us know how it will come about. None of us know what it will be like when we age, until we age, when we get sick, until we get sick, when we die, until we die, and when we're separated from that which we were once attached, until we experience that loss. We really need to focus on our actions and how we live this life now. That is why I'm here, I guess. Trying to teach myself the importance of focusing on these actions to ensure that I don't spend the rest of my life trying to get life to serve me. Instead, I serve each moment. Well, anyway, I will begin in the next video with the first of the remembrances. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.